what happens when you finish your cut? What do you exactly do next? What are the next steps to make sure you set yourself up to rapidly transform your physique over the coming lean bulk period of 8, 10, 12, maybe even 24 months? Well, believe it or not, this is the part that almost everybody messes up, which causes 90% of people to never build a solid foundation, never be able to get out of the vicious cycles of constant cutting or overshooting their bulks and having to cut again, all of this stuff. But there are 3 ways to go about this. I'm going to break them all down for you, 2 of which are very popular and well known, the reverse diet and the recovery diet. But the 3rd way is my proprietary accelerated reverse diet, if you will, but we're going to call it the transition diet. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do this, the pros and cons of each, the step-by-step. Let's dive into it. All right, so when we're talking about a typical reverse diet, as the name implies, we're essentially trying to reverse ourselves out of a deficit. Now that you've been in one for a long period of time, you've likely suppressed your metabolism to some degree. Your energy levels are lower, your NEAT is lower. All of these things are lower. There's essentially, you can imagine, a ceiling on your metabolism, if you will. And our goal now is to try to remove this ceiling, bring ourselves back up to a maintenance that's healthy, that's high, and that doesn't send us over and start the bulk prematurely. So this is actually going to be the best approach generally for people that are relatively new, somewhat beginners, let's say. Maybe it's your first or second time doing this. Maybe you messed up the first time, whatever. You're new to this. You want to make sure that you know how to get out of the cut, okay, properly. And you aren't crazy lean. So who is the reverse diet for? The standard reverse diet is generally going to be for more so beginners/intermediates, people that have only done a cut a few times, maybe haven't nailed this process of transitioning out just yet. And on top of that, it's for people in that category that aren't that low in body fat percentage. Now, I generally recommend that you finish your cut somewhere between 8 and 12% body fat as a man, or 18 to 22% as a woman. And that range should be sustainable to some degree for most people. Okay, there shouldn't be a dramatic drop off of quality of life around that point. When you start getting beneath that point, and it's going to vary from individual to individual, but when you start to get beneath that point, then you will start suffering noticeable reductions in quality of life. Okay, this comes because of reduction in hormones, right? Testosterone can start dropping significantly, and other things if you're not careful, and you just try to spin your wheels and get more and more shredded. Okay, so if you're anywhere near stage lean, or just at a level of body fat that is nowhere near sustainable for you, then the reverse diet, as it's standardized, as it's known to be executed, is not a good idea. But if you aren't that lean and you look pretty good, you're looking solid actually, physique's looking good, and you're like, hey, I'm ready to start this bulk, I got lean enough, I'm in the right spot, then a reverse diet could be for you. And let's go ahead and talk about some of the pros and cons. But first, how do you actually execute one? Well, generally speaking, all you're doing, as the name implies, is you're reversing out of this deficit in a more gradual way. This may be, for example, 100 calorie increase. Let's say, okay, today I'm done the deficit, so let's begin the reverse diet process. I'm going to increase calories by a certain amount, a small amount, 100, maybe 200 calories. And from there, and it's going to be mostly carbs. From there, you're making sure the key to make the reverse diet work is now that you're reintroducing calories and carbs, you're going to, for one, shed a lot of excess stress physically and mentally your body has been under. And because of that, you're going to have and be able to use up more energy day to day. A combination of those two factors will generally see a reduction in excess body water, subcutaneous body water. So the result of doing this, as you gradually increase calories, so for example, going back to the methodology, you increase by 100 or 200, mainly carbs. The next day or that day, you're going to feel a decent amount better. When you hit the gym, you're going to feel a little bit more energized, a little bit better stamina. And a couple of days will go by, your weight will probably decrease slightly again because of the excess body water. And you're probably still in a deficit to a large degree. And then you're going to bump those calories up after a few days. The process is going to continue. You're going to feel even better. You're going to probably get more steps in easier. You're probably going to lift more for more sets, more stamina, etc., more total volume load. All of the benefits, you're going to start feeling so good. It's going to feel like a ceiling has lifted off of your metabolism, and you're going to continue that process, increasing your calories by somewhere between 50 and 200 calories, respective to the individual and how many calories they're at already, until for every few days, until you get to a point where you have regained roughly somewhere between 3 to 7 pounds of water and glycogen. In other words, you're going to keep this going until when you finish the cut, let's say you were at 200 pounds. When you finish the cut, okay, you're probably going to dip down as the reverse diet goes, and then you're finally going to come out and maybe you gain up to around 203, 205. That is where your maintenance should be 1,000 calories more by that point. And there you go. Somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks, generally speaking, your reverse diet is done. You're at a healthy new maintenance. And the benefit here, the main benefit of the reverse diet is that you're able to keep your leanness essentially entirely. However lean you ended that cut at, you will keep that level of body fat more than likely, but you're going to look better because you're more full with glycogen and water and so on, you're more energy, and all of the good stuff, okay? So that is the benefit of the reverse diet, is it is going to make sure that you ended in a good place for your bulk. You're going to start in that place for your bulk. But again, you can see that that is also a con if you're too lean. If you're too lean to where you need to recover hormone function and overall energy, lethargy, sleep quality, all of these things, actually a reverse diet is suboptimal because you are prolonging that period of time that you're at a deficit. Ideally, you want to get out of the deficit as quickly as possible, get your hormones back to their healthy levels as quickly as possible, and then start a bulk, okay? We're gonna talk about that recovery diet shortly. But again, just to go through the pros here, it keeps you lean, okay? It's gonna keep you a lot leaner than a recovery diet does, more than likely. It's going to improve your skill at actually getting to a level of body fat and maintaining it and reversing out of it, manipulating calories and energy expenditure very precisely. This is a very important skill, and it's mastering the reverse diet, but I'm gonna give you a better version of doing it. It's in mastering that reverse diet that allows you to very easily and very flexibly move from cuts to bulks and cuts to bulks. Not that you should be doing it that often, but nonetheless, it allows you to do so effortlessly in the future, which is going to be crucial to continue compounding gains year after year after year. Okay, next is it's going to force you to have things very meticulous and dialed in, which they should be near the end of the cut if you got that shredded in the first place. But nonetheless, what people do is they make the constant mistake of being like, hey, let me bump my calories way up right off the bat, because you can do that technically speaking. And even if you're not crazy lean, people are just like, nah, I don't want to waste time, jump my calories up. Sometimes they overshoot. More than likely they overshoot it. Also, on top of that, there's this mental issue in that now it feels like you have so much more food to eat. You don't have a cap on your food, that ceiling on the metabolism and so on, that it becomes actually easier to create somewhat of a eating disorder, if we had to put it some way, an eating disorder, in that you might start binging a few times. You might have some binging episodes. It becomes very likely when you do things that way, not meticulous and all of that. And obviously that can ruin your start of the bulk. And in fact, I personally, way back when, ruined a complete year of progress by making that sort of mistake. So that's it. And of course, the other pro and the basic pro of reverse dieting is that it definitely works and it can work well. Now, let's talk about some of the cons. I've already covered this, but if you're at an unproductive level of body fat, it's just delaying you getting to a point where you can start maximizing muscle growth. Not ideal for sure. On top of that, because of the slow and meticulousness of this process, also, if you're not careful and you bump up by too much, or you're trying to be too meticulous and you didn't realize, but you are on the border of an eating disorder or of binging episodes, actually a prolonged reverse diet could also lead to some potential binging episodes. I would say that there's probably a risk in any way that you approach it, that at the end of a cut, when transitioning out, there is a risk some binges will happen here and there. And that's not the end of the world, but you have to make sure that you're very aware of when and how frequently they're happening and get them under control ASAP, or else you'll do what I did, like I said, for an entire year or even 2 years of progress down the drain, because I was in a terrible place to try to bulk from there. Okay. So that's it. And lastly, if you're not strict enough with it, again, that's where either it's binges or you just fly off the rails very subtly. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, holy shit, how did I get here? I gained 10 pounds. Okay, those are the cons. Now let's talk about the recovery diet. The recovery diet is a great option for people that are extremely lean. Or if you can't tell, am I extremely lean or not? Just think about it this way. Is your quality of life down the fucking drain? If it is, you feel like shit, likely hormones are bad, sleep and everything tied to it is bad, a recovery diet might be for you. However, it's hopefully the case that that is all happening and you're extremely lean, because the problem with the recovery diet is you are jumping calories very rapidly. Again, you can be any level of leanness and you can do this. there are a few issues, but there's some pros. Let's talk about the pros first. And first, let me actually break down the methodology of the reverse diet or the recovery diet for you. First and foremost, you're going to add calories, large amounts of calories, basically instantly. You will increase calorie intake instantly by anywhere between 500 to 1500. Again, really depends on the individual, how many calories you're at, and that's going to determine how big of a percentage that increase is. You're going to add a massive chunk of calories to what you finished that cut with, and what you're going to do from there is ideally you want to see a gain of between 5 and 10% of your total body weight. That's a lot. If you weigh 180 pounds, 5% of that is 18. I don't even know. 10% is 18, so 9 pounds to 18 pounds of body weight in 1 to 2 weeks. And then after that, you're aiming to gain somewhere between 0.5 and 1% of your total body weight. So it's scaled up to whatever weight you are at that time for the next few weeks. Okay, sometimes up to 4 weeks. So again, this is a multi-week process, generally speaking. You might feel fine and recovered after the first 2 weeks of doing it. The recovery diet is simply just trying to shortcut your way to a new maintenance, and you are okay with the fact that you're going to gain a decent amount of weight, obviously a lot of it being body water, excess food volume, and glycogen and all that, but then maybe 10 of those pounds of the 20, let's say you end up gaining, for example, is going to be fat. And that's okay because you are in an unproductive body fat percentage level, so you're not going to maximize growth anyways. In fact, risk of injury, risk of a ton of issues is very high at that point. You don't want to waste your time in a reverse diet, meticulously and slowly increasing. Your binging probably is going to be guaranteed at that point, etc. So you go into a recovery diet and you essentially jump calories up as quickly as you can. Now, keep in mind, the recovery diet, jumping calories straight to a maintenance, is a viable option for anybody out there. I did repeat myself, but yes, keep in mind, even if you're not that lean, you're like, you know what, I want to go into a bulk. You don't have to reverse. You can just jump calories to where you think they might be. But again, that's why I like the reverse diet, in the sense that if you're a complete beginner, or this is your first or second time doing this, which it probably is if you're watching the video, then you might mess that up. It's very difficult to guess what those maintenance calories will be. You can try using an online calculator, and that may or may not work. It may be on the dot, it may be way off. So you do so at your own risk. And that's why I believe a more meticulous approach, especially if you're not lean enough, I don't see the harm in extending a somewhat deficit to maintenance slightly longer, a few weeks longer, to get you to a point where your maintenance is much higher, but you haven't gained any excess body fat. You can milk the best gains over the coming year or two, right? So pros of the recovery diet is quick recovery out of the unproductive body fat percentage stage. Okay, obviously this is for men and women. It's going to reduce chances of binging generally because you've accounted for enough calories that it will satisfy you eating enough right away that you don't feel the need to like overeat like crazy. Okay, so it should reduce the chances of binges versus going too slow in such a body fat percentage level, and it could be a lot less strict. Okay, you have a lot more room. Yeah, if you go over by an extra 500, that's okay. You're trying to gain some extra body weight, and you have some margin of error there to say, hey, you know, I've gained 5%. It's okay if I gain another 1 or 2% in that first 2 week period. So it's a lot less strict. And for that reason, it can be beneficial. Some of the cons is if you're not experienced or that lean, once again, it's likely less than ideal because there's a high chance that you just don't start your bulk in the best place possible. All right. Another con is it can be very easy to overshoot if you're not careful, and it can basically completely ruin half of your bulk because of these reasons. So be very careful when just jumping calories straight to a maintenance. Again, if you're experienced, that may be your preferred way to go, in which case, by all means, do it. Now, I want to tell you about the third option, which is what I'm calling the transition diet. Okay, I'm coining that term, and although it might already be coined, and basically the transition diet is a accelerated reverse diet. So we're taking the main cons of the reverse diet, and we're shrinking them down or even getting rid of them altogether. The transition diet is now what I do, and generally what I'm coaching clients one-on-one. And by the way, I do have spots open for one-on-one coaching to maximize your gains in half the time, cut, bulk, recomp, transition diets, everything you need, optimized training. Check the third link in the description below if you want to apply and jump on the coaching roster. So I'm getting most of my one-on-one clients to run the transition diet because obviously I'm there to actually guide them through it. But basically who it's best for in this case is any level. anybody at any level. It doesn't have to be like a reverse diet where, okay, beginner, intermediate, it's better to go slow, meticulous, and be careful, be a lot more, dialed in with things. There's slightly less strictness that has to go into it, and we're going a lot faster. So it can work for a beginner, but it can also work for as advanced as you get. I mean, like I said, this is my preferred way to do it. Now, keep in mind, it does still not work, ideally, for anybody that's too lean. The recovery diet always wins if you're way too lean to sustain. You're at like stage levels of leanness. The recovery diet is probably always the best way to go. However, in this case, we're assuming you're not that lean. You're like me, you like getting photo shoot ready once a year, once every 2 years. This is the best way to transition and get back to a healthy maintenance quick. Now, how we do it, it's the reverse diet condensed within 1 to 2 weeks. So again, small bump, 100 to 200 calories, carbs mainly. You're using all that energy of that day, and you're going to increase those calories again within the next 1 to 2 days. So you do that. The next day, you feel great. You burn all the calories. You look at the weight the third day, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm still in a deficit. Crank the calories up a little, another 100 to 200. You do it again, weight drop the next day, you can crank it up again, and you keep doing that. And essentially what you're doing is you're going to take the reverse diet process and you're just going to bump it up more and more and more. The reason that this may be difficult for some people, if you're a complete beginner, and in which case the reverse diet standard might be better, is because you may not understand the fluctuations on the scale, why they're happening, what rates things are moving, and so on. So sometimes it does take a bit more of an experienced eye to help you through that. But assuming you've already done a reverse, you might as well condense it into a transition diet down the line. So I guess maybe when I said that this is for anybody out there, beginners as well, I'd probably push you more towards a standard reverse diet one time, assuming you didn't get too lean. And then from then on, you just accelerate or condense the reverse diet and turn it into a transition diet. So you're just bumping calories up, and within 1 to 2 weeks, you should be at your new maintenance, that may be 1,000, 1,500 calories above, and you've gained 3 to 5 or 3 to 7 pounds of water and glycogen to signal the fact that you are done. The pros here are all of the pros from the reverse diet. You're going to maintain your levels of leanness. And we can add a pro, is it's going to take way less time, right? So we now turn the con of the reverse diet standard from extending a period of a deficit, sometimes up to 4 or 6 weeks, to now saying, hey, we're getting you out of that deficit generally within a week, and then we're putting you at the proper position to be in a surplus within the next week, okay? And so yeah, essentially faster metabolism boost at a shorter period of time, getting to your maintenance calories faster, and less chance of eating disorders and issues as well, because in this case, you only have to hold off for a few days of a small suppression, and you're going to feel the alleviation of sort of lifting that ceiling off of your metabolism a lot faster than a general reverse diet, okay? So that's basically what you're doing. You're just bumping calories up, monitoring your weight every single day, making sure that your cardio as well, keep this in mind, is that along the way, you may bring cardio down as well. So instead of just, let's say at the end of your cut, no matter how lean you get, your cardio is probably pretty high. Let's say for me, it's 40 minutes on an incline treadmill sometimes, okay? 40 minutes of cardio plus 1,800 calories, whatever it is, right? For transition diet, I'm going up like this, 1,950 calories, or even just 2,000 calories. So I'm adding 150 to 200 calories. I'm going to do that. I'm going to the gym the next day. I should feel a good boost of energy. Good, I'm feeling good. A little bit reduction of stress. And the day after that, I'm going to do the same cardio. The day after that, I look at the scale, okay, I still lost, or I even lost a lot. Cool. Today, I'm cutting cardio by 10 minutes or by 100 calories. So I'm only doing 30 minutes or 300 calories, whichever number you're going off of. I'm only doing 30 minutes of cardio post sessions now. I'm going to bump calories by another 50, right? Because 100 calories from cardio, 50 from food added, that's another 150 calorie change. Could do that again, I'm going to feel really good, going to have even more energy the following day. I weigh myself, maybe I'm the exact same weight now. Great, let's do it again. So sometimes I'm literally increasing calories back to back to back days to try to get those first initial 3 to 7 pounds of water and glycogen filled in. And once those 3 to 7 pounds, like once I start seeing the scale trend upward slightly, cool, I'm now not increasing very rapidly at all. I might have 1 or 2 more increases left in the tank as, things even out. Okay, good. Now I evened out and I'm at a certain amount of calories, and there you go. Within 2 weeks, you're at a proper maintenance, and now you can start a proper bulk with the proper surplus. And by the way, if you need help calibrating your macros or understanding how much of a surplus and how to adjust along the way to maximize that bulk, make sure you check out my video. I'll go ahead and link up on the card for you that I just posted on the macros for muscle gain. All right, that's it. These are the 3 ways to transition out of a cut. I hope I did my best to explain them in ways that are hopefully understandable for you. And that's what I believe. Complete beginner, not too lean, standard reverse diet once. Complete beginner or any level, way too lean, recovery diet. Any level of person and not too lean, transition diet for the rest of your life. That's what I'm doing. That's what I recommend you do. Transition diet unless you're getting absolutely peeled. In which case, you probably don't need too much help as to what to do. But nonetheless, I appreciate you watching if you did watch it. By the way, last couple of things, if you want to take results to the next level, the first link in the description below is going to be my complete free physique bundle. So for free, you can get a bunch of tools I made for you, evidence-based guides, tools, training dialed in, nutrition dialed in, all that stuff, a tracking system, all of it for you for free. Just type in your email and you can grab that. Second link in the description is going to be for my Modern Physique Hub membership. Got big things coming for that. It's going to be the ultimate place for people that are serious about the results, to track everything, know exactly what to do, and level up their training with monthly fresh programming and options and nutrition and cardio, all of that stuff. Second link in the description. Third link is one-on-one coaching, as I mentioned before. Join my coaching roster if you've got some extra cash to spend and you want the fastest results possible working with me. Fourth link in the description is going to be to buy a one-off training or nutrition plan. You want to go at your own, no problem. I can help you out with proper programming, evidence-based and time-tested principles alike. And the fifth link in the description is to grab the highest quality supplements on the market. That's all max supplements. Use code JMango15 at checkout to save yourself 50% on top of that and load up on your subs. Aside from that, I appreciate you for watching. If you're still here, drop me a comment saying gains. And by the way, I'm about to start a mini cut myself, so I'm going to put this transition diet to practice in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe I'll drop a vlog video, update you guys on what's going on with my physique, but the gains are coming in. Safe to say, I've been making some serious gains. So I hope you have been as well. Appreciate you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm out.